There comes a moment in every life where the world falls silent. It does not announce itself with trumpets. It does not send a messenger. It arrives in the quiet, when the distractions fade, and the noise of other people's opinions begins to dissolve into the background. It is the moment you ask yourself the most powerful question a human being can ever ask: who will I become? Not who am I, not who have I been, not what did they think of me, but who will I become? Understand this: life is not about what you have. It is not about what you've done up to this point. It is about what you decide to do from this day forward. Every empire that has ever been built, every fortune ever earned, every breakthrough ever achieved, began with a decision. A single decision that redefined a human being's destiny. The greatest lie you've been told is that your life is written in stone. That your story is carved by forces outside of your control. It is not. The truth is far more terrifying, and far more liberating. Your future is unwritten. It is clay, waiting for your hands. It is a blank page, waiting for your pen. But here's the catch: if you do not write your story, someone else will. And they will not write it in your favor. You are living today as the result of yesterday's decisions. Not your circumstances. Not your environment. Not luck. The decision to think the way you think. To act, or not act. To believe, or doubt. And the decisions you make from this moment forward will sculpt the person you become 5 years from now. 10 years from now. That is the brutal truth. That is the glorious opportunity. The question is, will you rise to it? Or will you do what most do, bury your head in the sand and call it fate? Everywhere you look, you see people drifting like ships without a rudder. They move with the tides of opinion, the winds of circumstance. They live on autopilot, hoping that somehow, someway, life will deliver them to the shores of success. But the ocean does not care. The waves do not care. Life does not care. It will crush you into splinters if you do not seize the wheel. The power of decision is the greatest force in your possession. But most never use it consciously. They decide without deciding, choosing safety over growth, comfort over courage, distraction over destiny. And then they wonder why they wake up one day with a life that does not resemble the life they dreamed of. If you want change, you must understand this: you are one decision away from an entirely different life. A decision to think differently. To act differently. To see yourself not as you are, but as you can become. Every legend who has walked this earth knew this truth. Thomas Edison decided he would not accept darkness as the natural state of man, he gave us light. Henry Ford decided transportation would not remain a privilege for the few, he gave us the automobile. Walt Disney decided imagination was not confined to children, he built worlds where dreams came alive. And Andrew Carnegie, born in poverty, working in a factory for $1.20 a week, decided he would not remain there. He became one of the richest men who ever lived. They were not given permission. They did not wait for the right conditions. They did not ask the world if they were ready. They decided, and then they acted with relentless, unshakable conviction. So ask yourself right now, who am I deciding to become? Not next year. Not when things calm down. Not when the economy shifts or the stars align. Now. Because life is not waiting. The clock is ticking, and indecision is a silent thief. It will steal your years one hesitation at a time until all that remains is regret. You are not here to drift. You are not here to play small. You are here to claim dominion over your own mind, and through it, your destiny. That begins the moment you decide. The decision is the spark, but it is not enough to simply whisper it in the dark corners of your mind. Decision without action is a dream that rots. You must follow that decision with a force so unyielding that the universe cannot help but respond. Because here is the truth most never grasp. When you decide with every fiber of your being, when you burn the bridges behind you and silence every voice that says, impossible, the world begins to bend in your favor. But understand this: your decision will not feel comfortable. It will not feel safe. It will feel like standing on the edge of a cliff with a hurricane at your back. And that is how you know it matters. Great decisions are not born in comfort, they are forged in the fires of discomfort, uncertainty, and fear. Fear is the gatekeeper that guards every worthwhile outcome. It does not disappear, you walk through it. Look back through history and you will see it again and again. Abraham Lincoln decided he would not allow a nation to be torn in half by its own darkness. Do you think that decision was convenient? Do you think it was popular? No, it cost him years of torment, sleepless nights, and ultimately his life. But that decision reshaped a nation. It carved freedom from the bedrock of chaos. Every person you admire, every icon of progress, made a decision that terrified them. Do not envy their success if you are unwilling to endure their terror. This is where the masses fail. They think the decision should feel easy, as if clarity should sweep in like sunlight breaking through clouds. But clarity is not given, it is earned through commitment. You decide first, then clarity follows. You act first, then confidence comes. You move forward even as your knees shake, even as your voice trembles, even as your mind screams for safety. Because the alternative is slow death. The death of potential. The death of what could have been. And let me tell you this, that pain, the pain of regret, is far more brutal than the pain of fear. Regret does not sting for a day, it lives with you. It whispers to you in the quiet hours. It shows you the life you could have lived and reminds you that you were too afraid to claim it. So ask yourself, what life are you refusing to claim because fear has convinced you to settle? What dream have you buried because someone told you it was unrealistic? What version of yourself are you betraying because you are addicted to comfort? Listen to me, every person who has achieved greatness was ordinary before they decided otherwise. Edison was not born a genius, he was a man who failed over 10,000 times before the light bulb burned bright. 10,000 failures. Do you think he had doubts? Do you think he heard voices telling him to quit? Of course he did. The difference is, he decided that no amount of failure would stop him. That decision was his compass. And because he refused to bend, the world now lives in light. Do you want to know the real difference between those who rise and those who stay chained to mediocrity? It's not talent. It's not intelligence. It's not connections. It's a decision followed by unbreakable persistence. One decision to step beyond the known, one decision to silence the internal critic, one decision to keep moving when the road disappears. But let me warn you, when you make that decision, the world will test you. Life will throw storms your way. People will doubt you. Friends will call you crazy. The results will not come fast. You will question yourself. You will wonder if you were foolish to even try. That is the crucible of transformation. Most run from it. Few endure it. Those few become legends. If you want to be among them, you must anchor your mind in a truth most will never understand. Success is not an event, it is a state of being. It is the consistent alignment of thought, decision, and action toward a vision so clear it pulls you like gravity. It begins in the mind, yes, but it lives in your habits. It breathes in your discipline. It grows through sacrifice. And here is the paradox. When you truly decide who you will become, you will lose parts of yourself. The old habits, the old excuses, the old identity, they will not survive the fire you are about to walk through. You will grieve them. You will question whether you are losing yourself. But you are not losing, you are shedding. Like a snake shedding its skin, you are making room for a new self. A stronger self. A self capable of carrying the weight of your vision. This is not reinvention for the sake of vanity. This is evolution for the sake of destiny. And evolution hurts. It demands that you outgrow environments, relationships, and belief systems that no longer serve you. It demands that you stop clinging to the shoreline and learn to swim in oceans you've never crossed. It demands courage at a level most cannot imagine. But those who endure, they taste life in a way the timid never will. And that brings us to the cornerstone of all progress, vision. Because decision without vision is directionless energy. You can work harder than anyone you know, but if you do not know where you are headed, you will run in circles. Vision is the North Star. It is the reason you rise when others sleep, the reason you persist when others quit. Without vision, you are a wanderer. With it, you are a force of nature. Vision. The invisible blueprint of your destiny. It is the image you hold in the deepest vault of your mind when the world tells you to be realistic. It is the silent fire that burns in the background when your circumstances whisper defeat. Without vision, you will drift. With vision, you become unstoppable, not because the road becomes easier, but because you finally know why you are walking it. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You are standing on the deck of a ship in the middle of the ocean. Around you, endless waves stretch in every direction. No landmarks, no guideposts, just water and wind. Without a destination, where do you sail? Nowhere. Or worse, wherever the currents take you. That is how most people live. Tossed from one distraction to another, from one setback to the next, blaming the tides when they never set a course. Vision is your course. It is your map. And when you commit to that vision, the universe bends, not magically, but logically. Your mind begins to filter out the noise. Opportunities that were invisible before start to appear. People who share your mission seem to cross your path. The resources you need, the ideas you've been seeking, the strength you didn't know you had, they emerge because your brain, now locked on a target, refuses to let them go unnoticed. But here is the truth that separates the dreamers from the doers: vision without action is hallucination. You can build the most beautiful castle in your imagination, but if you do not pick up a single brick, it will remain a fantasy. This is where most people fail. They think clarity alone guarantees results. It doesn't. What guarantees results is clarity married to relentless, disciplined execution. Think of Henry Ford. His vision was audacious: put the world on wheels. At the time, cars were toys for the rich, slow, unreliable, and outrageously expensive. People laughed at him. Experts said it was impossible to build an affordable automobile. But Ford held the vision so vividly that he could see it before a single factory was built. And because he saw it, he acted. He didn't wait for certainty. He didn't wait for approval. He started, he failed, he recalibrated, and he kept building until the impossible became inevitable. And that is the key: inevitability. When your vision is so strong that it saturates every thought, every plan, every conversation, you create a gravitational pull around it. People feel it. They sense the conviction in your voice. They see the fire in your eyes. That is when doors open that were once welded shut. That is when resources flow. Not because the world suddenly favors you, but because energy attracts energy. Certainty attracts support. And vision attracts the very future you are trying to create. But let me tell you something most motivational voices won't. Holding a vision is brutal. It is lonely. It is thankless, at first. You will have nights where you stare at the ceiling, wondering if you've lost your mind. You will hear the laughter of those who quit on themselves and want you to join them. You will question if the pain is worth it. And in those moments, you will be tempted to shrink your vision to fit the size of your fear. Do not amputate your future to make your present more comfortable. Because here is the law that governs every great achievement: your vision must be bigger than your fear, or your fear will kill your vision. And fear will try, every single day. It will disguise itself as logic, as practicality, as advice from well-meaning friends. It will say, play it safe. Stay small. Be grateful for what you have. Gratitude, yes. Complacency, never. Gratitude for what is. Hunger for what can be. So, what is your vision? Not the polite answer. Not the watered-down version you share because you don't want to sound arrogant. The real one. The one that scares you. The one you're almost ashamed to admit because it sounds too big, too bold, too audacious. That is the one you must chase. Because the size of your vision determines the size of your life. Small vision, small life. Big vision, big life. It is that simple, and that terrifying. But vision alone is not enough. You need something deeper. Something primal. You need purpose. Because when the storms hit, and they will, vision tells you where you're going, but purpose tells you why you cannot quit. Vision ignites you, purpose sustains you. Purpose is the difference between giving up after your first failure and enduring 1,000 failures without losing faith. Edison did not endure 10,000 failures because he liked working in the dark. He endured because his purpose was bigger than his pain, to bring light to the world. Carnegie did not climb from poverty to industrial titan because he craved luxury. His purpose was to prove that birth does not dictate destiny, and then to use his wealth to uplift millions through education and opportunity. What about you? Why does your dream matter? Who suffers if you quit? Who misses out if you settle? If your answer is shallow, if it's just about money or status, you will not survive the storm. Purpose must pierce the soul. It must be so deeply rooted that when life knocks you to the floor, you rise, not because it's easy, but because quitting would mean betraying something sacred within you. Purpose makes pain bearable. Purpose makes fear irrelevant. Purpose gives your life weight, substance, gravity. It transforms ambition into mission. And when you combine vision, purpose, and decision, you become a force no obstacle can withstand. But there is one more truth you must swallow before we go further. Purpose without discipline is still a fantasy. You can know where you're going. You can know why you're going. But if you do not show up every single day and do the work, especially when you don't feel like it, your dream dies. And so next, we speak of the steel that holds it all together, discipline.